Goeiedag, my name is Wildkard. Thank you for watching the Wildkard UFC show. And yes, you heard it right, we're going to be talking about the UFC today. There was some of you guys requested me to start a different channel about the UFC. And I used to watch a lot of the UFC, like religiously. And in recent times, I just lost quite a bit of interest. And yes, unfortunately, it is because Israel Adesanya is one of the reasons why I just stopped really watching the UFC as much as I used to. And if you are a Adesanya fan, I apologize in advance. I'm very biased towards him because I am a big Robert Whittaker fan. I'm from Sydney after all. And the way that, especially in the second fight, when Robert Whittaker was just pressuring Adesanya, when Adesanya would just spend the whole fight circling away, jabbing, circling away, and just like eked out a win over Whittaker. I was not very happy about that. So yeah, still a bit salty about that, so I apologize in advance. But hey, when I heard that, you know, Israel Adesanya is going to be fighting a UFC champion from South Africa, so I thought I was going to tune this one in. I thought I'd give this one a look, especially when there was a lot of talk about Ibn Nesbitt and Sia Khaleesi walking him out into the ring. I thought, hey, maybe this guy's going to walk out with the national anthem, and he actually did. So that was pretty surprising for me. I don't think any other fighter walked out with I've never, maybe they do it nowadays, but I don't think I've ever heard a fighter walk out with the national anthem as an entrance music. So yeah, that was an interesting take on the national pride they're coming out for the South African champion. And you know, I was kind of intrigued as to how this fight was going to go. I watched a little bit of highlights of Du Plessis, and he looked like a very similar style to Robert Whittaker, actually, a bit of a wrestler and just, you know, liked to grind on you. And then yeah, this was one of the most intriguing question in my mind is, the style that he fights is similar to Robert Whittaker. How is he going to do something that Robert Whittaker wasn't able to achieve in two fights against Adesanya? Is to like neutralize the jab, the range the reaching range that Adesanya had, and closing in for those close encounters, for those takedowns. And yeah, so I really was kind of interested tuning this game, and sure enough, this was actually a really good fight. Probably one of the I can't actually remember last time I saw a UFC fight this good, especially after, you know, some of these Rosemary Nunes fights was pretty awful. So yeah, this was absolutely had me on the edge of my seats for all 5 rounds. And one thing I noticed that Du Plessis did really sneakily well, and he did this a couple rounds, is that Adesanya likes to do this thing when, if you're in, especially if you tag him a little bit, he just circles away, alright? And he'll recover from being circling away. And if you try to chase him down, he will just like counter jab you and, you know, actually catches you on the way in. So he's actually quite dangerous in that regard when he's circling away from you. And one of the things that Du Plessis did, and this is how he actually won the fight, is to trip Adesanya, because Adesanya is southpaw. He just like tried to, you know, he tried to corner him from circling away with his, I guess, which side is it? With his with his foot, like I guess his right foot ahead of him. So he's making him circle away to Adesanya's left, like back way to his left, so that his right foot is in front of him. And then basically he trips him as he's trying to circle away, and Adesanya will fall towards the cage, as instead of being able to get out to that open space, basically he falls towards the cage and allowing the takedown to close in the space, and not, you know, and basically not allowing Adesanya to be able to just get away from the takedown, because he kind of like pinned against the cage as well. So that's something that I thought, I don't think it looked like he definitely, the commentary was like, oh, he accidentally done that, but it did not look like he was accident. He did it 3 times in this fight. He did once in the second round, and then in the fourth round when he won the fight, he actually tripped him twice before finally tripping him, before finally getting him to trip into the cage, and then he went up with a double grab around the waist, and then, you know, got the hip control, got the takedown, couple punches, again, just laying him into the cage with the punches pinned against the cage, and then getting the both hooks in on the ground, rear naked choke, you know, spun him around and locking that in. Really beautifully done, and it's just really nicely done. And he actually tried this in the first round as well, and to no success. He was successfully at getting the takedown in the first round. In fact, I was actually, sorry, not the first round, the second round. So yeah, let's go to the first round first. So I was actually surprised to see that, you know, the Du Plessis came out went toe-to-toe with Adesanya in the striking. It looked like he was exerting a lot of energy. The efficiency was a little bit lower. Like he was, he was almost like tick for tack. Adesanya would throw a kick or something, and then Du Plessis would return with a kick. It was almost tick for tack, but it looked like the efficiency for Adesanya was just like slowly but surely getting him ahead of the match, right? Like, the Du Plessis has that reach disadvantage, so Du Plessis has to really closing in to try to get those swings in, those punches through, whereas Adesanya can just once again sit back and, work with his range advantage and try to pressure you the way that he likes to do to win all of his fights. But it was kind of close in the first round. Maybe I would give it a slight edge to Adesanya just because maybe he had a slightly higher efficiency on the striking. The second round, coming in, the Du Plessis really just went for the ground game. He had a what do you call it? He had a Adesanya kind of like came in for a punch, and he had just like a double leg takedown on the ground. Adesanya did really well to try to like squirm out of it. He was pinned against the cage as well, but Du Plessis tried to go for the rear naked choke in the second round here. Adesanya was able to prevent him from getting the second hook in on the leg, so he wasn't able to actually lock it in completely. And because he only had one leg hooked in between Adesanya's legs, Adesanya was able to actually just turn and spin out of it and getting himself out of that pretty poor position altogether with a little bit of a without that second hook in, he was able to slip out quite masterfully actually. And then Du Plessis also tried again with a single leg takedown. He kind of like grabbed him, just dropped down low and grabbed Adesanya by the foot, and then just like yanked him down that as well. Some really nice wrestling there. And the way that Du Plessis fights actually reminded me very, very much of the old legend Randy Couture. And he just likes to pin you against the cage and just start mauling you down and wear you down with his superior superior control and superior 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 cardio upon you, right? Something that Randy Couture likes to talk about, imposing his will upon his opponent. And it was looking like given the way Du Plessis moves and the way he strikes, it looks very similar to Randy Couture. So and again, it was very, very efficient against Adesanya in that second round there with the way that he fought. Coming out of the third round, Du Plessis looked like he exerted a lot of energy in the second round from those takedowns, and Adesanya was able to just kind of minimize the damage and staying composed and again staying efficient with his energy, whereas Du Plessis looked like he was just gasping for air between the rounds in this between the second round. And I was a little bit worried that he might get gassed out, because the Randy Couture strategy, where you ping someone against the cage, is all about having better cardio than the opposition. If you are not energy efficient enough to win the wrestling, you're just gonna get knocked out, or you're gonna just get knocked out badly, right? So I was getting really worried about him going into the third round, and he wasn't looking good. Both fighters were trading punches again, and again, Adesanya just didn't look nearly as tired as Du Plessis, and it was having the range advantage as well. Both fighters were trading punches, but Adesanya was trading returns at a much higher, much more efficient rate, landing a lot of good shots on Du Plessis, and it was looking pretty bad, to be honest. I thought this was going to be probably the downhill here. Even Adesanya just stayed safe, prevented the takedowns, could just win this one by points, because there's still 3 rounds left. This is the third round, right? Even if you say he lost the first 2, he could still win this by just staying composed. And then Adesanya also threw a really beautiful spinning back elbow, and it looked like he really kind of rocked Du Plessis a little bit. Haven't seen that for a while. Again, just so much talent for Adesanya to pull that out, and just and then there was I think there was one takedown attempt by Du Plessis, and it was staffed, and he did try for a leg trip in this round, and it looked like Adesanya was didn't expect that, but Adesanya was like, oh, just a trip, you didn't actually hit me. But little did Adesanya know that is actually something that Du Plessis is working to see how he react for the 4th round to set up for the finish, because he needs to know how Adesanya moves after he trips him. Is he gonna turn around? Is he gonna stand up? Is he gonna, how is he gonna fall? He needs to know that before he tries to execute that rear naked choke that won him the fight in the 4th round. So yeah, 4th round came in. He the Du Plessis went for the double leg takedown, and then just got stuffed with just a very aggressive sprawl from Adesanya, almost like slammed Du Plessis' head onto the ground, and you know, sometimes you could knock people out with that. So Adesanya just completely slammed, like sprawled on him and just slammed his face down, and Du Plessis got up, just like sat there, right, after that, and he looked like he was burned out, like he was gasping for air. This was looking really bad for Du Plessis. Got back on his feet, two fighters start trading punches again, and it was looking kind of like Adesanya could probably just taken out Du Plessis at any point with the one punch like that, could have finished it. And eventually there was a bit of a trading. Du Plessis was able to kind of like, again, kind of maybe clip Adesanya a little bit on the head, and Adesanya with his, you know, default reaction is to circle away, and Du Plessis timed it perfectly with the leg trip, just tripped his leg, his front leg as it was circling away, and Adesanya went down and turned his back at the same time with the trips. He was rocked a little bit, so Du Plessis followed up, pinged him against the cage, a couple punches to the face, and then Adesanya was just completely out of it. And with that little bit of moment where Adesanya was on the ground with his back turned and trying to block himself on the punches and trying to figure out where the hell he was, Du Plessis got the hook in and then got the underhook with one hand, one leg hook between the leg, and then spun Adesanya around. You know, slipped the elbow under the chin, sunk that in, double leg hook in as well, just lock that in nice and tight, and yeah, Adesanya forced to tap out, and a beautiful finish for Du Plessis. I was actually surprised that he was like how that move, that finishing move there was executed so well, something that Robert Whittaker was not able to do. And I think it all came down to that little leg trip that he was able to time after attempting it one or two times earlier in the fight. And yeah, really well done. And the South Africans will be very proud of this. Ibn Nesbeth and Siya Khaleesi will surely be pretty happy. A big win for all the South Africans this weekend.